Hey, this is Passy from Passy's World of ICT, the guy with the white hat. And we're here with another Adobe Animate video that we've actually been trying to make for 2 weeks. But what happened was our laptop hard drive got all corrupted and did all these weird things, and Camtasia kept crashing. But anyway, new hard drive, and we're back online, and let's go for it here. So, Adobe Spin and Grow animations. So this time what we're doing is we're going to make an intro for a movie or an animation that's just this kind of cute little spinning sun. So we're going to show you how to make a motion tween spin round and round in circles, and then we're going to make an ending for an animation as well, where we just have this the end kind of come in and randomly pivot and spin around, and then it's going to grow to be full size at the end. So they're the two processes we're going to work on, learning how to do those, and it's all about modified motion tweens. Now, this will be a long lesson because it's a 2-in-1 lesson. There's 2 videos in one here. So remember, make sure you go to that YouTube Tools cog and click on the playback speed and set it to 1.5, 1.75 or 2 times, and then it'll flow a lot better because we're a bit of a slow talker. And as usual on these long lessons, we'll have a video timeline index. So if you're not so interested, let's say in the spinning sun part, and you just want to do the end animation and learn how to do that, you'll be able to go in the timeline index, find the blue numbers where that starts, and just click on that blue number and it'll take you straight to that section in the video. Or maybe you don't want to watch the explanation and overview and you just want to see the Adobe Animate live demo. Well, again, you can just find it in this index, click on it and go to it. You might decide to do the sun lesson today and stop the video and get out of YouTube. You can come back the next day, find in the timeline index where the end one is, and do that one then. All right, so it'll be better for this lesson if you've already done the cookie cutter drawing emoji tool, if you've done the Animate Motion Tween color change, and if you've done the ball bounce without gravity. Because in our playlist on YouTube, you're supposed to do the lessons in order because they build on each other with the skills. Now, if you haven't done these, it's okay. You can try and do this lesson, but you just have to pay very close attention to what's going on, especially during the live demo section, and you still should be able to do it, all right? And there's also written instructions that you can download. So if you really run into troubles, you probably need to go back and do these earlier lessons. But remember, there is also the downloads, which we'll be talking about in a little while. So learning objectives for this is we're going to draw a sun, convert it to a symbol, make it spin around in a fixed circular motion. That's our first animation. Then we're going to learn how to use the text tool for this second one, where we can spell out the end, and how to convert the text we've typed in into a graphic symbol so we can animate, how to create the motion tween to move that text around, how to bend the path so it kind of does this zigzag random thing as it's spinning around into its final position, and how to add rotation so it spins as it moves, how to make an interesting ending for an animation, which is what all of these steps are all about, and copy lots of keyframes so that text stays on the screen at the end. So we create this pause, how to make it grow in size, do that scaling animation, how to copy an object and paste in place on a different layer, and how to make an exported animated GIF play just once rather than repeating over and over. Because for this, the end animation, we assume it'd be the end of your little story you've made, and you only want it to go once and then the whole thing stops. You don't want it repeating. So I'll show you how to do that as well. So the downloads are, you can get the finished GIF for both of the projects. There is a challenge task involving a business card and a drummer background. All right, so you can get the finished one so you can see what it looks like, and you can get the start ones as well as the full PDF step-by-step. Now, a lot of our students just prefer to look at the step-by-step instructions and read through them and do the lesson, and then they just go to the video if they're having trouble on one particular section and look it up in the timeline index. So we've got a flexible learning package here, and you can do it whatever way you want. So go to the YouTube video description, you can find the links to those downloads. So we're just going to create a new project as usual, create new. Now this one needs to be an 800 by 600 in the width and height. We're assuming you've seen all of these things before in our previous lessons. All right, so we're not going to go through that in great details. You can get the downloaded printed instruction and read it for yourself. The tools, we usually hover over here. So we've got the double arrows and stretch that out. So we've got the tools coming down side by side, and that way it'll fit on the screen of small laptops. Make sure on this one you click next to that play button and get it into Essentials, because all of our screenshots here are in Essentials. And the timeline, you can also double arrow, push down and move that to make it bigger or smaller as well. All right, and with the stage, to fit that white drawing page, our work page or the stage into the screen, you can do fit in window, or you can type values into this box. So we found that like 75% or 80% typed into that box seemed to work well for this particular 800 by 600 project. So we're going to make a background that's not just a flat blue, it's going to be a radial gradient, starting off with a darker blue in the middle, and it kind of radiates out to a lighter blue. So that just makes it a little bit more 3D and interesting. We can do that by with our rectangle tool, get onto that, and then open up the color palette here, which you can either use this icon symbol, or you can go window and color to get this open. We're just flipping that down from solid into radial gradient. That'll come up here, and then you double click this little pointer house looking thing here, and you pick a dark kind of blue, and then you double click that one and pick a light blue. Now if you find it too hard to make this gradient background here, you can always just go modify and go to document, this one, and just change the stage color to just one flat blue color rather than being this 3D radial gradient. So this part's finished. So once we've done all this, this bit's finished, and you can put a padlock. You need to click in this section of that background layer just to padlock it so we don't accidentally click on it and come back to it and mess it up. Radial gradients we've done a few times in the previous lessons, so hopefully they're okay. Drawing the sun, we're also going to use a 3D radial gradient for that, but we're pushing down on that rectangle tool and changing it over to the oval tool, right? And then to get the color, you can go to the color palette here, and it's going to be on radial gradient, but this time I'm using a darker orangey kind of mustard color in the middle, and then a bright yellow around the outside. So that just makes our sun 3D. Now, while you're on this oval tool, make sure that object drawing's turned on. So you need to click this symbol here with the square and the circle, so it's got a gray box around it, because if you don't turn it on, when you're moving things around, they'll do cookie cutting and cut holes in the page and things. So make sure these this square at the background and this oval shaped sun are both done with object drawing turned on. Now, to make the lines for the eyes and the mouth, all you have to do is just get on the line tool and go to these sliders, or go window properties, and we're just setting black and size 5, and then you can draw this line here and this one here. Draw a straight across line here, and then remember you can flip back onto the arrow tool, the home base tool, and move near it, and you'll get the curve round arrow, and then you push down and hold your mouse down, you can pull this down into a curve. All right, again, this is like we did in the emoji drawing lesson. So if you're having troubles with what we've done so far, you probably need to go back and do the emoji drawing lesson. Now, to finish off the sun, we do some rays coming out of it with the line tool, and that's what we're going to do next. So on the line tool, just set the stroke size 5. So we're just using the same tool we use for the eyes and the mouth, but we're setting the color over to yellow this time, and draw like these 4 rays first, and then do the in-between one second. All right, that'll help you get it really nice and even, and it'll look better if it's even. So this drawing's finished. Now we need to group this all together into one item. At the moment it's made out of a circle here, some lines and some outside yellow lines. We need to get that all into one graphic symbol, and then we can animate it and make it spin around. All right, so what we're going to do, the easiest way to select all the parts is you can hold down the Shift key and one by one click on all these bits so they're all highlighted. That's kind of a long way. You can get your home base arrow tool and draw a big square around the whole thing and let go, and then everything should be selected. But the easiest way might be to just hold down the Control key on your keyboard and press the letter A for all, and that will select all the things which are on that particular layer. All right, it won't select the background, which is on a bottom layer underneath it, but this layer called Sun, where we made a new layer for it, it'll just select all those things. All right, now once they're all selected, you should see each piece highlighted by either a blue line or a blue rectangle. See, these things have blue lines on top of them, but most of them have rectangles around them here. And then what we can do is we go Modify, Convert to Symbol. While we've got all those selected, we're just going to call it Sun. The type on this drop-down list is graphic. Make sure the registration's in the middle and click OK. And that completes making the sun, and we've now converted it to a symbol, which will have behind the scenes saved it into our Animate library. And we're just ready for the second part, which is just to make it spin round continually. So first we need to go extend our background layer so it goes all the way up to frame 24. All right, now how you do that is just click back in the background layer. You don't actually have to undo the padlock, and just click in box number 24. And when you click in it, this should change to say 24F up here. And you just right click and insert keyframe, and that will copy the background from this first one into number 24 and make it hang around for the whole animation. And so it should look like this. You should have the black dot there and another kind of dot here at 24. Now, if it messes up, no problem. Just go Control and Z, or hold down CTRL button near the space bar to the left and press Z if you're in America, and try again. All right, so that's how we go backwards and try again. All right, now for the sun, we just click up onto that layer and click in frame number 1 and right click, and we need to create a motion tween. All right, now the sun should have an olive green motion tween on it like this. It goes up to frame 24 because we've got a 24 frames per second animation. The sun has its starting point in frame 1. We just need to copy it to frame 24. We're not actually going to move it round at all. We're just going to copy it across there. All right, so how you do that is you just click into frame number 24, right click and insert keyframe, but it'll ask for a particular type, what type of keyframe you want. And because we're going to turn that sun round, we're not going to change its position or scale it, make it get bigger or smaller. We're going to rotate it, spin it around. So click on rotation there for the type of keyframe we're doing. And while we're still on frame 24, what we can do is hit those sliders icon or go Window Properties and make sure it's on frame here in the tabs, and Orient to Path is not ticked. Do not tick that. Set this to clockwise, and the count, you can just type a 1 in that box or just leave it as is because we only want it to spin around 1 time. And press the play icon, which is near your timeline, this one here, and you should see your sun spinning round, but it's kind of spinning a bit fast, but we're going to fix that up later. We'll just leave it like this for the moment. And you can export it. So remember, you can go File and Export, Export Animated GIF, and then you pretty much don't change any of these settings, just leave them as they are, and you just click Save here, all right? And see, and you need to put the file name in that we're going to save it as Sun1 Spin GIF and click Save. And then it gets saved as a GIF animated file, just like a GIF you get off Giphy or you'd be putting on one of your social media posts or something. And then it will be saved, and you can find it in your folders and double click on it, and you should see it just play continually over and over in Windows Player as a GIF file. All right, now the sun's spinning a bit fast, so we're just going to go back and make some simple changes to slow it down and re-export it, all right? So we can slow down the animation because we want to keep the detail, all right? You could change the frame rate down to 12, so there's half as many frames per second. But to keep the detail, what we're going to do is we're just going to double the length of the animation. We're going to make it twice as long, all right? So this here, what you do is you just get onto the background layer, and if you move your mouse near here, you'll get some double arrows. When you get them, push down and just stretch it up to frame 48. All right, so it ends here, and then go up to this layer, get the double arrows and stretch them up to 48 as well. So we've got both of our layers now finishing at frame 48, and it should play slow. When you re-export it and have a look at it, it should play at about this speed. And that's kind of a nice little sun is spinning, happy speed for our animation, all right? So that was how to make it all. And now we're actually gonna jump across to Adobe Animate and do the steps as a live demo. All right, so take a break now if you want to. We've been going for 15 minutes. All up, it's probably going to be a 1 hour lesson by the time we finish. So take a break now if you want to, and then just come back using the YouTube video timeline index, and we'll do the Adobe Animate live animation. All right, so here we are in Adobe Animate. When you start it up, you typically get a screen like this. We just go create new, or some older versions might have new files, but we just want to create new, a new project, and we're going to get on education and just have a medium-sized one, an 800 by 600. You can also do game and do medium. It's the same thing. It doesn't really matter. As long as it says 800 by 600 here, frame rate's 24, HTML canvas, that's all good, and we can just click the create button. All right, now remember, go up to this one. There's a play test movie button here. Go to workspaces, click on that, and make sure you are in essential. So your screen layout looks like this. Now remember, all of this is too long on small laptops. So go near the side of the tools, get those double arrows, and then push down and hold down your mouse and just stretch that so it doubles up, and it'll be a lot easier to see things as we're working on them. Now, at the moment, our magnification up in this right-hand corner is set at 100%. Let's just drop it down to, say, 75%. Give us plenty of room to see what's going on. Now, remember, our first step was to get on the rectangle tool, and we weren't just going to use a flat normal color. All right, we were going to go to this color palette here icon, or just go window and find color, which is down here, and that'll take you into here. All right, it'll bring up the color settings. So rather than have a solid color, what we're going to do is we're going to go down and have a radial gradient. All right, now at the moment, if you draw your rectangle, it's going to be black on white, which doesn't look so good. So let's press Control Z, and let's go back to our artist palette again. What we need to do is double click where this black one is, all right, and just change that to kind of a deep blue. And if you click here and add an extra one by mistake, you just grab them and pull them away, and that deletes them. So just be aware of that if you have some problems and make some extra ones you don't want. And then we'll have kind of a light blue there up this end. And then when we draw our rectangle, so it doesn't matter if it goes slightly over the sides, because Animate kind of trims the canvas when you export it and finish it up anyway. All right, so we've got this sort of a bit light around the outside and some blue in the middle. All right, so that's looking good. It's just a little bit 3D and looks a little bit nicer. So this layer down the left-hand corner, we'll just double click in there, and we're going to call that one background. All right, so that's our background layer. And now we're clicking the plus sign here in the layers to make a new layer. Double click in that one. This one's going to be the sun. Now remember, for the sun, what we were doing was we were going to push down on this rectangle tool and change it over to the oval tool. Now remember, down here, object drawing, we needed to click that to make sure it's got, I think I can zoom in and show you. See how it's got that gray box? If it's like this without a gray box, if it's little, it's no good. You want it big. With the grey around the outside. That means object drawing mode's on. We've swapped this from rectangle over to oval. All right, and then we're going to our color palette again, or doing window and color to get this up. But this time we want kind of this double click in here, or just click in here, and we want this kind of orange color at one end. And then for this one, just double click in it, and we wanted a kind of nice bright yellow at the other end. So now when we draw our sun, and don't draw it too big, because remember we have to put the rays around the outside. So there's our sun. And if we go to our normal home base move tool, when we move it, it doesn't cut holes in anything because we've used object drawing mode. So that's important. All right, so that's done. Now remember, it was onto the line tool. We needed black, and for our stroke, we needed size 5. So we can use that slider or type in the box here on the properties. If you're not seeing the properties, just go window up the top in properties so you see them. And the idea was that we were making ourselves a bit of a line for one eye. And I'll show you a little trick. To get it the same size, you can click on the home base tool, click on this guy, and then hold down the ALT key and move it across while you've got the ALT key held down. And that'll make another one that's exactly the same. It's kind of a little copying trick. So I'll just press Control Z and show you that again. So the idea is to get on the arrow tool, our home base tool, click on that. So it's highlighted on the eye, then hold down the ALT key next to the space bar and just move. Then you can move and then you let go of everything, the mouse and the ALT key and that's done. And then we just need to get on the line tool and draw this mouth. And remember, we were going to change the shape of the mouth. So that's by getting on the arrow tool, the home base tool again, move near it, and you should get that little arrow with the curve underneath it. And then you just pull that down and we've got a happy sun. All right. And then we can just click on that little thing and we can move that around. Maybe we'll move this eye down a little bit. This one down a little bit as well. And Animate's even giving us little rulers to help us line up. Isn't that good? All right, so that's our little happy sun. And that's done. Now we just need to get back on the line tool. This time we're changing the stroke color to a nice bright yellow. And remember, with drawing those ray lines, we were supposed to just start here and do the 4 round here first, trying to make them the same size. That one doesn't line up. Well, that's pretty good. Then do the in-between ones. So we've got these ones here in between, kind of like that. All right, and there's our little sun. So our sun's finished, and now we need to make it all into one object. Now, the long way is to hold down CTRL and keep clicking on, hold down Shift. It's always either Shift or CTRL, and just keep clicking here till you've got everything. But anyway, that's not so good. The idea is if you just click on one of them and then hold down the CTRL key and press A, CTRL and the letter A, that's just going to select all of them. Now, I'm not sure why this background is selected as well. Yes, I am sure why it's selected, because remember we were supposed to put a padlock down here in the left-hand corner. Put a padlock on your background because it's selecting the background as well, and we don't want the background to spin round. So putting that padlock was important, and we forgot to do that. Let's go down our home base arrow tool. Another way to select stuff is to just hold down your mouse with your arrow tool and draw a big square around everything you want. And that should select it all as well. Or you can just click on one of them, then hold down CTRL and go A. Either way, we've now got it all selected. The background isn't all dotty and selected because we've got that padlock on. So that was an important step we forgot to do. But now we're ready to right click on this, and we want to convert it to a symbol. All right. Or you could go up here to modify and do convert to symbol. Either way, both of them will take you to this, and our symbol name was sun. Okay, we're just calling this one the sun. Now, it's not a movie clip, we're just making it a graphic. The registration needs to be in the middle dot there. I'm not sure if you can see it, I'll try and zoom in. It was on the side, we want it on the middle like that, so it spins round from its middle, and then we just say okay. All right, and that is done. So I'll just check in the instructions where we're up to make sure we don't miss anything like putting padlocks on and that, all right? Yeah, it's probably a good idea while you do our lessons actually to download the instructions so that you know what you're doing, all right? So we've made all that into that. Now we're going to create the Motion Tween. Now remember, we had to make the background go to frame 24. So we're on the background layer down here in the timeline now at the bottom. We've just clicked in here. Now, how do we know that it's 24? We don't. We can see numbers here. Now, if this is too small to see, you can go to these mountains here and just move this slider just so everything's a bit bigger and the blocks are bigger. So that's definitely number 24 on the background. And we just right click and remember insert keyframe. And that will keep our background hanging around for 24 frames. And then the idea here was, next, after we've done that, we were going to create a motion tween. So on this one it was a little different. Click in number 1 for the sun, right click and create motion tween. All right, that's made this kind of like this green color, funny green, very light teal color here, going up to 24. Now remember, in 24, we wanted to click into number 24 and right click and insert a keyframe, but then it gives us the different types. Now we want it to spin round. So remember, we were using a rotation keyframe. Now it should bring up the properties for the frame. If they are not there for some reason, just these sliders give you properties, or go window and properties so they come up. Make sure you clicked on frame and that we're in that box there at 24. Remember, orient to path we do not click, and we just put clockwise, and here you can change the number of times, but we just want 1, so we won't change that number in that box. But you can click in that box and change it, and that should be all set up. Let's hit this play button here. So above your timeline, there's all these icons. We just want the play one here, and our sun is spinning around. All right, but going a little fast, and one of our little things is a bit long here. Now, how can we change that? Well, we can go to window and to library, and see that's our sun there. Now, if you double click on that, this symbol, sorry, you should be able to get back and edit it again, I think. And we can just get on that one, and we could use our resizer tool, I'm hoping, and make that just a little bit shorter, because it seemed to be a bit long. Because it should go down to the same as that. I think that's okay. Now, you'll see we're down in the sun layer here, so how do we get out of this and save it? You use this backwards arrow up the top left-hand corner, and that will take you out of editing the sun, all right? So I think if you double click on the sun as well, that also takes us in there, all right? So the backwards arrow here, or if you click on scene 1, that'll take you back up here. But either way, we've managed to fix that. Let's play it and see if it looks a bit better. Now that one is still long. It's a little bit longer than that one, yet it doesn't look it. And you only kind of see it when it's spinning. Maybe it's an optical illusion. Not sure, we're just going to leave it. But anyway, just be aware you can go in there and edit it. Now, the problem was, remember, that was a little bit fast. So the way we can halve the speed is, at the moment this goes to 24. So if you get down the end of the background layer in the timeline, move your mouse, you should be able to get some double arrows. Okay, there's some double arrows on this one. I think I have to undo the padlock to get the double arrows. Now it's being difficult. All right, I can get double arrows on the sun and stretch that out to 48, which is here. Now this one is being stubborn and it's not double arrowing for some reason. But what I'll do is I'll just go to 48, and if I right click insert keyframe, that'll just copy that background to 48 as well. I'm not sure why I couldn't double arrow stretch that, but either way, we've done it now. And you see your sun moves a lot slower now. All right. I'm still very annoyed about this guy. So I'm going to try and really shorten him. and use that backwards arrow. And of course now the little guy's crooked as well. So let's try and rotate him. The things we have to do. All right, so now he's rotated. All right, I think that's a lot better. Maybe you should have held down Alt and moved these and rotated them or something if you want it perfect. But let's try to do the file export now. File export, and we just want to export it as an animated GIF. So let's do that. So you've learned an extra thing, how to double click on things or go into the library. Okay, our Animate's doing a not responding. Hopefully it'll just snap out of that. All right, we've got a lot of things running on this laptop. We have rebuilt it and upgraded some of the components, but still it can't do everything just like us. All right, so we're going to save that, and let's try and find somewhere to save that to. Into our Animate folder would be a good place, into lesson 9. So let's just call that Sun lesson 1 and save it. All right, so then it comes back to Animate. Now, if we go to that folder, we should be able to find Sun lesson 1, and we double click on it. And there's our little sun spinning round. So that could be like the intro to our animation. So that's kind of part 1 of the lesson finished, and we've been going for 30 minutes. So you might even want to just pause the timeline now, take a break, and maybe even another day, just come back to do lesson 2, which is how we're going to make that spinning end animation. So this is something interesting for the start if we were doing, say, a SunSmart commercial like we learnt to do in a previous lesson. And now next lesson we're going to learn something. Next lesson inside this lesson, this is a 2-for-1. We're going to do the spinning end animation, make it grow big at the end. But maybe take a break and come back to that later. All right. Okay, welcome back, and let's start the second part of this lesson, which is the end text spin tween. And this is what we're talking about, that we're going to have the end get bigger and bigger while it spins round, and then finish like this. So, okay, it does a little random spin to come in, and then it does the big grow to fill the screen. Okay, so that's why we're making this. It's just a nice little kind of the end thing for your story that just builds a little bit interest and suspense before it shows that it's the end. And then we just pause it. You'll notice if you look carefully, it sort of stays big for a few frames there at the end. So we're going to learn 3 things. We're going to learn how to do writing, spin the writing, all right, grow the writing, and then pause it full size for a little while so we've actually got time to read it. So the first thing we need to do is set the background to black. So we'll go through all the steps here, and then we'll do the live demo. If you want to save time, you might want to just use the video timeline index to skip ahead to the live demo, or get the step-by-step instructions and do that. So it's a matter of a new 800 by 600 project, just like we did before. Modified document. We're not going to make the 3D radial gradient square or anything this time. We're just going modify document, clicking on the stage color here that's white at the moment, and just making it a black color. All right, so we've got a black colored stage. Then we're going to rename this layer and just call it text. All right, and then we need to get on the T tool, which is this tool here, the capital letter T, the big letter T, uppercase, and go into the properties with the sliders or Windows properties. Make sure it's an object. The font we're going to use is Broadway, so you'll have to click down. There'll be like hundreds of these fonts. They're in alphabetical order, so Broadway should be up near the top. We're going to have size 40, and for the color, we're just picking this kind of aqua blue color, but you could do a different color if you wanted to. So that's all of that set up. And then when you're finished with that, to take away the properties, there's a little double arrow up here. There's no sort of OK button or anything on it like that, or an X. You just click this little arrow and that will close off the properties. All right, then now that's set up, you stay on the T tool and you just type the end, wherever you happen to end up on the screen with it. And then you can use the arrow tool to move it into position afterwards. Now, if you get this Adobe Lorem Ipsum typed over the beginning, like you get this initial test, you can just backspace over that and then just type that end in yourself. All right, so we're going to right click on that text layer and we're going to convert that into a symbol. It's just becoming a graphic symbol called end text. Say OK. So that's all the normal sort of stuff of converting things to a symbol. So while we're in here, all right, right click, convert to symbol. Then we're going to create a motion tween. So right click while you're there and do create motion tween, and it should go that kind of really light, horrible teal color to frame 24. All right, and then we're not going to insert keyframes there or anything. We're just going to drag our end down to the middle or down to here, and it should make this dotty kind of line to make a motion tween. And if you play it at the moment, it'll just be kind of moving like that. But what we're going to do is we're going to put all these keyframes in and make it go all zigzaggy. So remember, once you've got a motion tween, you can do things like bending it. If you click halfway in between on the timeline here, okay, click into a blank part of the layer just here, you can move near it with your arrow tool. And remember, it gets a bendy sign. You can push down and bend the shape, so we can make it go like that in a bit of a bendy path. But we want to do more than that. And first off, we're going to have to extend it. So remember, double arrows and just pull it so it goes up to frame 48. That slider there, if you need to see the boxes, if you can't see exactly where 48 is, make the boxes bigger. And then it should look like this. And when you clicked in there, it should say you're at frame 48, so you know you're in the right place. If you're not, just hold down CTRL key and press Z if you're in the USA, or Z to go backwards, and that's it. Now, the zigzag path, we put in these position keyframes along the timeline, and that's how we work that out. So we're just going to go in 8s, we decided, because we've got 48, and if you know your maths, 6 8s are 48, so we can make 6 little zigzag points by dividing by 8 and go 8, 16, 24, 32, 40 and 48. If you know your 8 times tables. Back in the day where school was taught properly, we used to learn all of that stuff. And who thought it'd ever be useful? No one thought that's not useful. We've got calculators on phones that can do it. So anyway, you might have to do it on your phone. Doesn't matter, I'm talking too much. So we go insert keyframe at number 8. All right, then we should get a little dot there at number 8. Control to Z, go back if it's not showing up, and try again. So divide up the motion tween, like we said, 8, 16, 24, 32, and 40. And so we right click and put all these little dots in here by just inserting a position keyframe. So that's the type we're doing, right click, insert keyframe position. And the value at the top should tell you what block you're on when you click in here to help you. Now, we have our motion tween divided up into 6 different sections here where we can do 6 different separate zigzag paths. And what you do now is that you can just stretch out individual sections. So here's our first section of sort of 8 things. We can click in box number 8 and pull that way over here, then go into box 16, pull this one way back here. I'm sure if you play around with it, you'll kind of figure it out, and we can make this kind of zigzag pattern. You can also make the whole thing longer. If you get near the end with your arrow tool and get the L shape, then you can pull it out and make this path longer as well. But look, you'll be able to figure out, and we'll show you in the live demo what to do. If you make mistakes, just go Control and Z or Control Z and try again. All right, but in the end, we got this wild kind of path. So you just try and make this weird kind of random zigzag path. And what'll happen now is it just kind of bounces along this path. And that's looking good. It's all random and zigzaggy. Now we want it to spin round a bit while it's doing it, okay? So what we're doing there is just going to our slider properties while we're clicked in a frame somewhere. So here we're right up near the end. Doesn't matter where you are, just click in there so you're in a particular frame. Go to the frame properties. We want to spin clockwise and make it 50 times. All right, so it spins a lot. So we're just setting up all of those things there by clicking on the property slider while we're clicked in here. And then we can set all that up. And what's going to happen now is it's kind of just going to do all this kind of spinning and stuff like that. All right, so we've got the kind of first part of our end animation, the random kind of zigzag spin, and then we need to make it stop in the middle and do the second part where it's going to grow, like zoom out towards us, come towards us and grow, then we need the third bit where it pauses, all right? So to add the grow in animation, we're actually gonna make a new layer, and we're gonna insert a blank keyframe at 49, because we're up to 48 in the animation at the moment. So now we're continuing on at frame 49, but we need to do it on a new layer, all right? So make a new layer called Grow Text, go to 49, right click and insert a blank keyframe, not a keyframe, just insert blank keyframe, all right? And what we can do is on the timeline, click into frame 48 in that layer, and that end, we can click onto that and we can right click and copy that, all right? So we're gonna copy it off this layer up onto the new layer we've made and make it copied in at frame 49, so we're ready to continue. All right, so in the next step, we're going to paste this into frame 49, the new layer, but you don't do this by right clicking, all right? For some reason on our Animate anyway, there was a glitch and right click paste didn't do the job properly. We actually had to go up to the edit tab up the top of Animate and use edit paste in place, and then it worked okay. All right, so we're on frame 49 in this new layer. We go up the top and go edit paste in place, and then it comes out and we can use the arrow key to move it around so it's right into the center of the screen. And now we're ready to create the motion tween that's going to make it grow. So you just right click here on this new layer, create motion tween. All right, and it only made a little one frame tween. So if that happens, it's okay. You can just get your double arrows and stretch that out so it goes up to frame 72. So it looks like that. So if yours just does a silly little one frame motion tween, just move your mouse near there and stretch it out so it actually goes to 72. And what we need to do at 72 is right click in there and insert a keyframe, but we want a scale one this time because we're going to change this from little scale up into big scale, which will make it look like it's zooming towards us. So what we do is just in here, we'll have the end, and we just need to get on that resizer tool and just pull out these corners so it's a lot bigger in the middle of the screen like that. All right, so if we now play the animation, we've got it stage 1 and we've got stage 2 now, the growing. And now all we need to do is see the growing kind of finishes a bit quick and we're back to this. We just want it to grow and stay on the screen for a little while. So that's our third step. And you guessed it, we make a third new layer called pause text. And we need to copy where we finished here into this one, like we learnt how to do previously. And then what you do is you insert a keyframe here at 84, all right? So we just want to copy this time, insert a keyframe, and what will happen then is it'll grow and it'll kind of stay on the screen for a few frames. It stays between 72 and 84, creating a kind of a pause there, so we can actually read it okay. And that's the finished GIF. Now we want to make it only play once, not do repeat over and over, because this is going to be the end of our, the end screen for animation. So I just want it to go, grow big and say the end, and then that's it. It just stops. All right. How you do that is, ever since 2020cc, this export panel, it puts so many things on, it's too big to fit on the screen, and you won't see the good old looping option. It's not there when you go into file export, which is really, really annoying and took us a bit of Googling to figure out. There's a little kind of down slider here, and you have to get on that and slide down the bottom, and then you'll get the looping. And so instead of forever, just change looping to once, and then when you save it, what will happen is it's only going to play once and it won't keep playing over and over. So that's the basics of what we're going to do. So I've got 3 things to do, remember. We've got to get our first layer, spin text, put our text in, size 40 Broadway. Then we've got to make it spin round 50 times. And we've got to put in position keyframes at 8, 16, 32 and make it all zigzag. And then that bit's finished. Then we're going to make a new layer called grow, copy where we finished up on the first one into frame 49, do our growing, which I think goes up to frame 72. And then the final thing is doing the pausing just from 72 to 84, which is done on another layer. So you might want to take a break. I'd certainly suggest downloading the printed step-by-step instructions. We've got them just here on another computer to look at if we need to. So that will help you as you go. And take a break because you can use the timeline index to come back to this live demo. And then all we got to do is show you the challenge task and we're done. But we've already been going for a while. And this is my Aboriginal art cup. If you want one of these and you live in Australia, just email Passy World and I'll tell you where you can get them. Very nice. All right, so remember in Animate, it's just create new and we want Animate to go a little bit faster. At 800 by 600, that's all set up, 24, let's create. And the first thing was, rather than have that white background, we were just gonna go modify document here and click on that stage color and get it to black and say, okay. Now, this one here, remember, this is going to be our sort of text layer. And we're going to be, so we're just going to click in there and call it text. And we're going to be using the letter T tool. All right, so we clicked onto the T tool. Now, the fill color or the properties of the T tool. Well, let's click on our little properties slider here. The fill color we were using was this sort of aqua color, because we like that. The actual font we're using was Broadway, so we need to just get this side thing, zoom up the top. Broadway, there we go. And we were using size 40, so we can just get in that box that says 12 at the moment, click 40 and just click off somewhere else to finish or press the enter key. And that's got that all set up. So let's just hit these double arrows, if you can see them, up the top right hand corner and close that. And then remember, all we have to do is just type the end in. And when you click off, it'll kind of be like that, all right? And we can now go on to our arrow tool and move that up to the corner. And the next thing, I'm just going to check as we go here to make sure we don't miss any steps. So we need to convert it to a symbol. Okay, let's click on it and let's go modify, convert to symbol. I think if we'd right-clicked on the writing, then we'd get the convert to symbol. All right, I was clicking the layer, we need to click on the writing. So this symbol is just going to be our the end. The end text, we'll call it. The end text. And make sure it's centered in the middle and it's a graphic, and that's that done. And got that. Then we're going to create our Motion Tween. So now we are down in the layer and right click and create Motion Tween. And you can see we've got our light teal color going up to 24. And what we were going to do is just drag it along so it's finishing up in the middle here. And it'll make this dotted line. And if you press the play button above the timeline, that's what it's doing at the moment. All right, now there is, remember, if you click kind of in the timeline here and go on your arrow tool and move near it, you do get that kind of bendy symbol, but it's not easy to get. Come on, I saw you before, Mr. Bendy. There you are. And you can kind of bend it like this, and then it would play in a curve. But we kind of want a bit more than that. We want it to do random spinning and stuff, random zigzagging. So what we do is, I remember the maths was that we needed to get into number 8, and we're just clicking here. Yes, we needed to first extend this up to 48. All right, then we're going to go in 8. So if you can't find 8, just click in here and see it's telling us we're at 8F here. And we just need to right click, insert keyframe, a position 1. All right, then our next one was 16 because 8 plus another 8 is 16. Right click, insert keyframe position. 16 and 8 makes 24. So insert a keyframe position. 24 and 8 makes 32. Insert keyframe and position. 32 and 8 makes 40. And insert keyframe position. And now we've got all of our position keyframes. So let's go to number 8. And what we should be able to do here is kind of see how we can grab that and move it right out like that. Then we can go to 16, and here you can just get on it so you get that little kind of turnaround part of a circle underneath it. If you go right near that middle thing, it'll sort of be there. We'll try and zoom in and show you. Might not be easy, but okay, someone's turned on a computer somewhere else in the house, and the Bluetooth speakers connecting, and that'll start talking. These are a nuisance, some of these automatic things. Then we'll click in 32, and we'll kind of have that come, I don't know, way over here. And you can go on individual ones and kind of do this too. And 40, we want it to, where's it going? I don't even know where it's going anymore. We'll have it do that. And then remember at 48, we want the thing in the middle. And it's finishing in the middle. So let's give that a play and see how it goes. Yeah, okay, so it's kind of doing a do-do-do. It does a little bounce there. That's kind of cute. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. We just get all that set up. And so we've done all our zigzagging. And now we just need to go anywhere in there and get the rotation. So I'm just going to click in 35 because I think that's a nice number. Go into the properties, make sure you're on frame, and we want rotate to happen clockwise. But remember, we're going to make this wild, have it do 50 of them. So type 50 in that box. So you got 50x. So that was just window properties, make sure you're on the frame tab. Now if we play it, we should have, okay, we got a bit of spinning happening. So that's all right. Now I'm just thinking back here, maybe we could have this go over here even. So it goes doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doo. Yeah, kind of like that. All right, so that's the spinning text part done, and now we're going to do the growing text. So what we need to do is click this plus sign and make a new layer, double click in here. This is going to be the grow text. Now this was the tricky bit where we needed to go back to frame at 49 here in the grow text. That's where we want to continue from. So right click in there and go insert blank keyframe. Make sure it's a blank keyframe. So right click, insert blank keyframe there. I'll just press the ESC key to get out of that. Then we needed to go back on this layer to 48. No, on this end, click on the end and right click and copy it. Then we go to this frame 49, but don't do right click and paste. We found that didn't work. Instead, we had to go edit, and we had to use paste in place here, paste in place. That way it pastes it in the same place. So it'll finish it, the bottom layer text, and then it's exactly at the same place when we get to here. All right, then remember what we were doing was we were right clicking and creating a motion tween, and it only gave us this silly little motion tween that's only one long. So we had to get near the end and stretch it out, because we want it to go to 70, 72, I think is there. I'll click in there. Yes, it is 72. So we wanted it to go to 72, and what we wanted here was at 72 to right click and insert a keyframe, but we wanted a scale one so that we can make it bigger here at the end. And then get on your resize tool, and at the end, we're just going to have it like grow really nice and big and fill the screen like that. So what we should see happen now is if we just drag across there, there's our spinning. We start at 49, here's our new one, and it's just going to do growing like that and fill the screen up. So that's part 2 finished. Let's give it a play with the play arrow. And so it does this random stuff, and then now it's doing its grow big stuff. And Now we're just going to make it hang around for a while. Now how we do that is we add a new layer, and this third layer here, double clicking it down the left hand side there, this is going to be the pausing of the text. And our little speaker there is trying to connect to this other computer. All these things like Google Home and all those smarts, it has minds of its own. It's evil, it's taking over. All right, so pause text. Now remember, we got to do that copy thing. So we're here and we're going to copy that. Then we're going to go to our new thing and insert a blank keyframe. Then we're doing edit, paste in place there. So here we've got it on this layer, and we're just going to make it go to 84, which is there. So there you just right click and insert a keyframe to copy it. So now after it's grown big, see, it's going to just hang around for a while in these layers. In this layer, in these particular frames. Now that's creating the pause. If we now do it, that's nice. Yeah, that's fast enough. We don't need it crazy speed, but you could play around with the speed if you wanted to. But we're just going to now file, export animated GIF. Now remember, we only want this to play once. So don't worry too about the preview, that the preview's on white. It will have a black background. Remember this here, there's actually a slider at the side and there's more things. Why they couldn't just put the looping up in this empty spot, I don't know. But anyway, it's made life really hard. But go to this slider and then you'll find it. Now we don't want looping forever. What we want is just looping once. And so we just change that over and do our save. And we're going to save that. And I wish that thing, now where are we? Passie's World of ICT, the Animate course, and we're in this one. So this we will call the end once, because it should only do it once. It already exists. No, let's not replace it. Let's call it the once number 2. There we go. All right, and we should be able to go to our folder and find the end once number 2 and play it. And it does have a white background. Oops, so something is messed up. All right, so let's go back to File, Export, Animated GIF. Okay, so what you see is what you get. Now, it's got here the MATTE. All right, so it does make it white by default. So we did need to actually change that to black. All right, and then it should have the black background. So this is a preview of what you're going to get. So if it's the wrong color, you can go to MATTE here on the right, and I don't know what other one, you can pick your own custom colors from the rainbow and stuff. Oh, that's nice. Anyway, we'll just have it as black. Now, let's just pull that slider down at the side. We are on looping once. Let's save it, and it's going to be Animate not remembering where we were, which isn't great. Thanks, Animate. Oh, I think that's a Windows thing, actually. We can't blame Animate for everything. So we needed the end once number 2. We'll just save over the top of that and go back to our folders, and the end once 2 is now correct. Okay, we got the black one. All right, so we did have to change that MATTE background. I don't know if I've got that in the instructions. I might have to check the instructions out for that. All right, so that's the end of the live demo. Let's get back and wrap this lesson up. All right, so the challenge task. And the challenge task for you is we're just going to give you this drummer background, a business card in the download. You can get a different photo and background if you want. But the idea is we're just doing the spin and grow thing on it. All right, so it'll just kind of randomly jump around the screen, and then it'll have that. So maybe this could be the end to some quick little video clip we've made for a client, and we'll just put that in at the end, just for something different, something interesting. It's got our business card and all of our details. details for our little photo business that we run on the side. All right, so there's some hints there to help you about setting up the layers. So it's just like we did the end spin, basically, making the zigzag and the spinning round and all that stuff. So get the downloads for these hints and have a go at that. And that's the end of the lesson. So have fun with Adobe Animate. It's so good to have the computer fixed me back online making videos again, because we had to reinstall all of the Adobe Creative Cloud. We had to do a whole reinstall of Windows, but we've got a Samsung Evo, I don't know, the latest and greatest solid state Samsung drive this time. So hopefully that's going to last a bit longer, but the other one lasted for I think 5 years, so that's pretty good. So anyway, give this big video a big thumbs up, like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next lesson.